Hello and welcome to another episode of Anything But Authentic, where I make crazy food that is anything but authentic. On today's episode, I'm gonna be making what I call a Samoas Brookies. In case you don't know, Samoas is a type of Girl Scout cookies. Samoas cookies is a caramel, coconut, chocolate shortbread cookie. Yeah, it's a handful to say. That I think that's why they didn't call it caramel, coconut, chocolate shortbread cookie. It's a mouthful. I think that's why they call it Samoas after the island of Samoa. And let's be real, it would be a dream to be lying on the beach of Samoa eating these cookies. But the thing is, look, they are hard to find. Even for this episode, my plan was to get a couple of boxes of Girl Scout cookies just to kind of display here and show what I'm talking about, but apparently they only sold by the Girl Scouts themselves in a certain time frame, so it is very limited. So that really gave me the motivation to make this creation. And also, in case you don't know what Brookies are basically just brownie cookies. So it is a layered creation where it has a layer of brownies and cookies. So it's a perfect harmony between a crispy cookies and a soft brownie. It's like a play in your mouth. It's weird to say, but that's what we're going to be doing today. It's a very simple recipe, but with the upcoming celebration, if you know what I mean, I feel like it's rather appropriate to have a piece of Samoa's Brookies to celebrate it. So here we are. Let's get started. So what I have here is around 1 cup of shredded coconuts. These are sweetened and I factored that sweetness into my recipe. But if you actually got unsweetened shredded coconut, just maybe add a little bit more sugar into your cookie and brownie batter. Otherwise, it will be good. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 1 cup of shredded coconut into this pan like this. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spread this out so that it can cook evenly. And I have my oven preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. And I'm gonna toast it for around 8 minutes and kind of like mix it around every 2 minutes just so that the coconuts can toast evenly. So I'll see you guys back here after 8 minutes. So I've been mixing this around every 2 minutes for 8 minutes. This got a bit darker than I would like, but it's still good. This is still very yummy, delicious. Honestly, if I were able to eat this just all by myself as is, I would. But I'm not gonna do that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this aside while preparing to make the shortbread cookies for the cookie layer part of the Brookies. Alright, so now let's make the shortbread cookie dough. So what I have here is the food processor, and into it I'm gonna add around 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Then I'm gonna put it in and pulse it a little bit just so everything is well combined before I add in the cold butter. Alright, so the dry ingredients is pretty well mixed at this point. So I'm gonna add in around 3/4 cups of cold butter that I cubed. So what I'm gonna do is gonna add that in, pulse it until the dough is crumbly but not too well mixed. In that goes. Then put the lid on like so. Alright, that should be good. Alright, so this is at a good stage at this point. Right now, the dough is still pretty crumbly and feels like wet sand. That's basically where you want it to be. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour this into this 8x8 pan that I prepared with the parchment paper, like so. And just using your hand, just press it down so it's all stay firm at the bottom. Alright, so after everything is pressed down evenly, just try your best to press everything down. You can even use a spoon if you really want it to be super even, but this is fine for me. So now what I'm gonna do is I have this fork here, and I'm just gonna poke some holes into it so that I can cook evenly. So now this is prepared. I have my oven preheated and stayed on at 350. So I'm gonna pop this into the oven for 30 or 35 minutes or until it becomes golden. But during the meantime, I'm gonna move on to make the brownies layers. So I'm gonna see you here in a little bit. So while the shortbread cookie layer is in the oven, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna make the brownies layer. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna combine 1/4 cup of coconut oil, 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, a quarter cup of brown sugar, and a pinch of salt. Then I'm just gonna mix it until everything is well combined. And then what I have here is half a teaspoon of vanilla and 1 egg. Then continue mixing it around. A little tip before we continue though, make sure that your coconut oil is melted but not hot. Otherwise, you would scramble the eggs, and I'm pretty sure you guys don't want scrambled egg brownies. I haven't tried it, but I don't think it will taste good. So make sure that coconut oil is melted but not hot. All right, so just continue mixing like so. Things looking great. And then the final step is really just add in around 2 tablespoons of flour and around half a cup of shredded coconut. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna slowly whisk this until everything is well combined, like that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wait until the shortbread cookie finished cooking, and then we'll continue from there. Alright, so this was in the oven for around 35 minutes. As you can see, it is pretty nice and golden now. It smells delicious in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this same fork to poke some more holes before I pour the brownie batter over. The reason why I'm doing this is just so that, you know, some of that brownies can get into the shortbread cookies, just so everything just kind of stay together and not break apart, which I experienced in my time testing this recipe. So just poke it through like so. All right, so that's been poked quite through. And then I'm just gonna put this batter in. All right, and then just spread it evenly. So as you notice, I didn't make much of a brownie layer, simply because if you notice, the Samoa's cookies itself didn't have too much chocolate to begin with. So that's why I didn't want to make too much brownies, because then it would offset the balance and it would taste more chocolatey than Samoa's. See? But if you like brownies, feel free to, you know, just double the recipe or make more of it. The world is your oyster, really. So do what you want to do. To me, this is an appropriate balance and I love it. And then what I'm going to do now is going to pop it back into the same oven and let this go for around 20 to 25 minutes. Alright, so after around 20 minutes, it's done. So what I'm going to do now is just let it cool for around half an hour. I know that it smells really good right now and you want to dig in as soon as possible, but we're almost there. So I'm going to let it cool for around half an hour and then I'll see you back here. So while we wait for the Brookies to cool down, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start making the topping for the Brookies. As you've remembered, we've made the toasted coconut already at the beginning. So what I'm going to do now is going to make the caramel and the melted chocolate. So what I have here is around 1 cup of soft caramel, and then I'm going to pour in around 1 tablespoon of heavy cream, along with a pinch of salt. It's not my recipe unless there's salt in sweet things and sugar in salty things. What I also have here is around half a cup of dark chocolate. I like my chocolate a bit darker. If you like more of a milk chocolate, feel free to switch it out with milk chocolate. It's just a personal preference. Like I said, the world is your oyster, so feel free to choose whatever chocolate you like, even if you like white chocolate. I'm not here to judge. So half a cup of chocolate along with around 2 teaspoons of heavy cream. So what I'm gonna do with both of these is that I'm gonna pop in the microwave for around 30 seconds to a minute, you know, checking every 10 seconds or so just to mix it around and make sure everything is melted properly. And when the Brookies are finished cooling down, I can pour them in and it will be just heavenly. So the Brookies has been cooled for 30 minutes and I've melted the caramel as well as the chocolate. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the Brookies out and invert them. Like that. Oh yeah. And then I'm just going to pour the caramel on top. All right. Then just, you know, using a spatula, spread it around like so. Alright, now we're just gonna add a bunch of toasted coconuts on top. Like so. Then for the final steps, drizzle some chocolate on top. Slowly just pour it over like so. This is very close to done, but it's not. I'm gonna let this cool for another 10 minutes or so, just so the caramel and the chocolate set, and then we'll dig in. Actually, before we continue, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to hit that like and subscribe button. It will help me so much into making more crazy food creations like these. And with that said, let's dig in. This turned out a lot better than my test Brookies, and it's divine. The shortbread cookie is crispy and the brownie is definitely soft, so you get that very nice harmony of texture, and the coconut definitely hits through with the dark chocolate. It's just I hope you enjoyed spending time with me, Guber, and I hope to see you here next time on Anything But Authentic.